In this video, I will explain the animation's two parts, which could be the most exciting part of this hood, which I'll show you first, because this is the part that you make animations like, go to this here, this one. Well, of course, let's write on it first. Press yes. And then let's start again. So it comes here to this point, turn around, starts running, and then jumps, and then turns around, comes to this point. So there are 1 point in there, 1 point in here, comes here, starts jumping again, and then walks a little bit, and then walks, and then rests and stops. When it stops, of course, it gets the ideal animations. Basically, there are 1 point in there, 1 point in there, 1 point in here, and then 1 point in here, and 1 point in there, and in here, and then resting point. And the second one is the horse is wandering. Well, in this case, that's without the rider, wanders around for a while, and then stops after a while, and then walks around a little bit. And walks around a little bit, and then starts eating, and so on and so forth. Basically, just it creates a random. The great part of that was really hard to achieve, that the ability to stop at some points, do a stopping animations, and then going into a walking animation. That's really difficult in terms of in terms of pet finding. Basically, you have to stop pet finding on and off, and that was some challenge we had to come over. Okay, I'll show you how to make this now. Basically, we open the note card. We set these settings in here. So that's the animations 2 part. There are 2 slots already filled, but this will be cancelled out as well, because these coordinations are, the pet coordinations are in world coordinations. So you get actually basically these coordinations by raising a simple cube, simple prim on the ground, and then put it wherever you want, and those pet points are those points, the X, Y, Z. So basically you put this point in here, and you put comma between, basically the format X, comma, Y, comma, Z. And of course, if you want to be really fine-tuned, like if you want it to be fine-tuned, then you can put, like, say 5.2. You can go also dot and decimals as well. So basically, we'll start from here. The other parts are explained about in another video. They are the same. Only in this part, the animations, we put more than one animation. So the format is, you put the animation name, pet finding on or off, and then how many seconds that animation, that pet finding will continue. Then second, basically the second animation, the pet finding on, off, and then how many seconds it will play. So the first one, the show jumping, then it'll start walking normally, and then up until here, and then it will start. In all of these cases, it will all be pet finding on, because it is a continuous, it never stops in betweens. So basically, it starts from here, and from this point, like starting from this point, between this point, it'll start walking normally. The seconds, it's a tedious job. Basically, it's trial and error. You have to play yourself. For example, I'll just minimize this. If walking from here takes 9 seconds, then you have to, instead of 10 in here, you have to make it 9 seconds. And then if between here to jumping, it takes 4 seconds. Basically, it's a lot of actually playing with it and trying to find the right number, right seconds. So basically in my case in here, that these are the seconds that works. So it starts walking normally, then goes 10 seconds, and pet finding on 10 seconds, and starts running, it goes 4 seconds, and then the jumping animation starts, it goes only 1 second. It could be even less than that, it could be 0.5, just to give more realistic effect. And then animation, again, another animation, pet finding on, it goes 8 seconds, and then jumps again, and then runs a little bit. Basically, that's how the format is going to be. Animation, pet finding on or off, and then the seconds you're entering. So in here, of course, you need to put the custom in here, because it's going to start from here and will end up in here, and it will stop. It won't loop again and again. So the next part, of course, you have to define where it is going to start exactly. Without this, it won't be possible to really time those seconds in between. So in this case, you put your horse, you bring your horse. I just minimize this as well. You put your horse where you want it to start, turn around, okay, and these are the, if you go to build tools, these are the values you need to enter here. I'll just shrink this a little bit. So these are the values you need to enter here, and the rotation values are these values you need to enter here, or here, position and rotation. So in the pad, as I said, you just raise a simple cube on the floor, and then it is position, and then just get a copy, hold the shift, and this is going to be your next one, and this is going to be your next one. The format is, it has to be between brackets, and between the brackets there has to be comma, and this is quite important. Most of the time, if your animation doesn't work, and it doesn't work, it is probably you're entering comma instead of dot instead of comma. So between x, y, z values there has to be comma, and between the brackets there has to be comma as well. And the next part is these were explained in the other video. So these are the speed, and in another video sound is the same. And in addition to this, the avatar animations, for example, in here you can actually enter more than one animation, more than one avatar rider animation. So basically in this case, of course, you need your avatar to slow rider mode, and then get into fast mode, and jump mode in the jumping place. And again, you have to put the animation name, how many seconds it will go on, and then a second animation, how many seconds it will go on, and next one, so on and so forth. But again, the finding the right seconds is basically a trial and error method. So it is a bit tedious work, but the results are, when you achieve what you want to achieve, the results are beautiful. And in here, the next one is the wandering. In that case, the great part is you can set this to random instead of custom. Of course, you have to set to the radius, random and comma, and the radius it's going to about this, you cannot this animation cannot start from here and then continue here. Basically, you cannot have a random loop, because if you do that, that's the pet findings. The integral feature is that if you stop your animation, let's say in this case pet finding off in here, and if you start the next one, then the radius center point is going to be this point. So therefore, if that was looped, then eventually it would go off the world or off your land. So it can only play once. So it can start from here to here, and then it will stop after that. But if you want basically more believable but random movements, then you have to increase the number of seconds in here maybe, or increase the number of animations in here, and making sure that your horse doesn't get lost. If your horse ever get lost while we are here, you can go to, let me close the distance, and if you press the stop, then it will bring your horse back to its global position. So the rest of the settings about if you set this to random and this, basically it will randomly wander around and will start with this animation, will end up in here and will stop. The great part of this in this one, basically if you want your horse to start one place and go stare at something, stop and stare at something, and that can be done. That's the probably best feature of this version. Then if you set this to pet finding off, it will, and for how many seconds? So it will stop in there for 10 seconds before going to the next animation. If you set it to pet finding on, then it will start walking along the path again. And the other parameters in here also explain in the animations 1 part.